Okay guys, so in this video we're going to be talking about if they give you a domain and range, how do we convert that domain and range into a graph? Basically there's no real easy way to do this except for like mainly trial and error. If they give you the domain and range, they basically give you the values of x's and the values of y that this function exists. Now one thing you can do is just kind of think of this like a shortcut. You can if they give you the domain and range, so this gives you a point sort of. -2, -4 would be like the lowest point that it could be. +3, +1 would be the highest point that it can be. So if you think of it that way, if you graph point -2, -4, so -2, -4, those have brackets. So I'm going to put a closed circle down here at -2, -4 for example number 7. And then +3, +1, if we think of that as a point, so 3 to the right and then up 1, those have parentheses, so I'm going to put an open circle right here. So -2, -4, that is my point that I graphed. The very, very bottom left of this graph and the very, very top right of this graph is +3, +1. Now the domain and range, if you remember from the other lesson that we went over, is basically where does the graph exist on the x and the y-axis. This tells me the lowest point that it could be. This tells me the highest point that it can be. What the function looks like doesn't really matter. As long as you make it a function, you're good. For example, I can make this be this line. Bam, I'm done. There is my graph of domain and range -2, +3, not including the 3, and then the range of -4, +1, not including the 1. Okay, so that's all we need to do. So let's say they want example number 8. So the lowest point that it could be for example number 8 for the domain of -1 to 1 and from the range of 0 to 5. The lowest point on the bottom left would be -1, 0. So -1 and then 0 would be there. Notice they both have brackets. So I'm going to put a closed circle here. Okay, so that's my graph of -1, 0. The highest point that it could be, the top right, would be 1 to the right, up 5. So I'm going to go 1 to the right, starting at the origin, and then up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the highest that it could be. Notice that they both have brackets as well. So I'm going to put a closed circle right there. So there's the bottom left-hand side of the window, the top right-hand side of my window or my graph. All I have to do now is graph a function, any function that you guys want to graph with this domain and range. That means that we basically have to connect these 2 points. As long as you make it a function, you're fine. Let me make something up. It goes up and down and up again, and there we go. So there is my function. Again, it is considered a function because no matter where you draw the vertical line, it only touches at 1 point. So you're good to go in that sense. The last example real quick, example number 9. And again, these are numbered 7, 8, 9 instead of 1, 2, 3 because you're expected to watch the video on domain and range first before watching these examples. That way you're a little more familiar with what domain and range actually is in the other video, and then work through examples 7, 8, and 9 to figure out how we can convert a domain and range into a graph. Now, example number 9, the last one says the domain is from -infinity to +infinity, meaning everything, right? And the range is from -infinity to positive infinity, meaning everything. So this thing, the bottom left-hand side of the graph is forever and ever, meaning that it's going to be an arrow pointing down and to the left. Here, the top point, if you will, point in quotes, it's infinity, infinity. That means that it's going to go to the right and up forever. So it's going to be an arrow going up and to the right. Okay, so all you have to do now is draw the function. What that function looks like, it's up to you. So I'm going to make my function go up, down, and then up again, and there we go, done. So this function has domain and range -infinity to +infinity, right? It goes down and to the left forever. It also goes up and to the right forever. Okay, I hope this video was helpful to you guys on how to come up with a graph from a domain and range. All right, I will see you guys on the next one.